It's going to be our rider ratings for the 2025 Anaheim 1 Supercross.
We got a lot of riders to go through. We're going to start with the 250 class. And the first rider that we got is Coty Schock. I think he rode really, really good. And I gave him a 7 out of 10. I think he did pretty good in the heat race. I think he did exceptionally well in the main event, finishing 6th. He did let Deegan go by him in the last corner. He probably should have got that top 5. I think Coty can have some really good races this year. But for Anaheim specifically, I give him a 7 out of 10 out of his whole day.
I would give him a 6 because he was super far off the pace in quali. Solid heat, great main. Absolutely could have shattered Hayden's leg into oblivion if he wanted to, but chose to be a better man and did not do that. So actually, I might move him up to a 7 because of the integrity of not removing Deegan's leg.
Yeah, that would have been bad. He could have pushed him over the burn.
7 it is.
All right, going into our next rider, we got Cole Davies. And Davies surprised the heck out of me today. Qualified great. I mean, very good. Rode amazing in the heat race. Got 2nd in the heat. Went from last to 8th in the main event, which is insane. And I give him a 7 out of 10 as well. If he gets a top 5, that's an 8 or 9, right? So,
yeah, I'm actually putting him at an 8 because A1 rookie, all the hype, tons of adversity, and did really, really well. Like, I think if Deegan would have got to 8, I think everyone would have been like, wow, like great ride, you know, great salvage. Nobody even mentioned that Cole salvage. I don't know what my lights are doing, but
you're fine. You're fine. Keep going.
Nobody even mentioned that he got up to 8th, and so I think it's a really, really good job.
On to our next rider, we got Garrett Marchbanks. For Garrett, kind of underwhelming for me. I thought he was going to be obviously with Levi out, Forkner out. I thought he could be a top 5 guy. That's me personally. He did pretty good in the heat race. Got a 5th in the heat. Not great, okay, but I mean, he did have Hunter Yoder beat him in the heat race, so that's not good at all.
That's the Blippy kid, bro.
Yeah, that's not good at all. And for the main event, Garrett had a great start. He was in 3/4 off the rip. I think he's established in 3rd place after like first lap, and then he crashed in the whoops, and then he went all the way back down to 9th place and finished in 9th. That crash alone, that shouldn't happen. He had a top 5 finish, man. And so with all that being said, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10 because without the other 2 factory guys there, he should be a top 5 guy, crashing as well as getting 9th place and a 5th in the heat. Just kind of underwhelming.
I agree. We'll go with that. We'll go with 4.
4 out of 10. Next rider is probably going to be the spiciest one here besides the 450 class, but we have Haiden Deegan. And for Haiden Deegan, I'm giving him a 5 out of 10. He rode amazing in quali. He rode amazing in the heat race, and then he went from 20th to 5th. I put him as a 5 out of 10 because I expect him to win. I expect him to be top quality. I expect him to win his heat races, and I expect him to go out there and win a main event or at least be top 3. Crashing in the main, that shouldn't happen. Obviously, going from dead last to 5th is great. He should be winning these races.
I think 5 is a little harsh. However, I do agree with you on all the things you said. I'm going to put him at 7, below Cole Davies, because it's Haiden. He has the experience. He's expected to do well. You know, I mean, obviously Cole is expected to do well, but it's his first year, 3-digit number. Yeah, so I'll put him at 7.
I also want to mention that we actually put all of these ratings in our Discord to like ask you guys. Everybody in the Discord put Haiden as an 8. Like, that's like the overwhelming result here. I don't know if he's an 8. Yeah, I don't know about an 8. So moving on, our next rider is Ryder Difrancesco, and I put him as a 7 out of 10. I thought Ryder D rode awesome. He rode really good in the heat race, got 3rd in the heat race. And then in the main event, he had a podium, but Jordan Smith got in front of him, so he finishes 4th. But honestly, I think Ryder D rode fantastic. I think that's a really good race coming from last year, like how kind of underwhelming it was to being a top 4 guy, top 3 in the heat race. Yeah, so that's why I kind of give him a 7 out of 10 there.
Put him at 7 as well. He just kind of exceeded my expectations. Wasn't incredible, but definitely was the best Ryder D I've seen.
Everybody they also agreed as a 7. So, I mean, that's pretty spot on for it. Okay, going into basically the podium guys here. Up next, we got Jordan Smith. Now, Jordan Smith, I put as a 7 out of 10 as well. We kind of mentioned this in like the review video where like a couple of the other factory guys, my underwhelming prediction is probably not going to happen, and he should be a top 3 guy. In my opinion, he should be like a top 3 guy in the championship. So getting a podium is like great, but he also crashed. He probably could have got top 2. Like if he doesn't go down, he probably battles with Juju for a top 2. He did go out there and get second in the heat race. I put him as a 7 out of 10 just because like he probably should have got like second place. And that probably would have bumped him to an 8.
I put him as an 8. I think I was very surprised. New team. I mean, and again, he crashed and then made a pretty good charge back to a podium. So I was pretty pleasantly surprised.
I mean, everybody in the Discord put Jordan as an 8. The overwhelming result was an 8. So just like you. Our breakout guy, Julien Beaumer, I put him as a 8 out of 10. Top quality was unexpected. I did not expect him to do that. Then yeah, he won the heat race. So that was freaking awesome. Got a great start in the main event. Got second in the main event, which was... I don't necessarily think it wasn't unexpected. I guess for a podium spot, it wasn't unexpected. Yeah. But just the way everything happened with Juju on Saturday was kind of unexpected. Like top quality, heat race win, and then getting a great start and kind of just sticking with Joe the entire race. For me, to get a 10 for me, you got to top quality, win the heat race, and win the main. You got to do all 3, like for me. But Juju going out, winning a heat race, I think we're going to see him do that a lot this year.
I put him at 9 because he really exceeded my expectations, and my expectations were pretty high of him because I really thought he was going to do really well. Certainly didn't see a top qual happening. The second place in the main was just solid. It wasn't gifted. He got into second, held everybody off, and stayed within Joe. It's not like Joe ran out to 20 seconds or anything and he was just, circulating in second. He was right there the whole time. And yeah, really surprised me a lot.
I think even Juju said in his interview that he wished he would have pushed a little bit earlier in the main event, and I think he probably could have got to Joe quicker, maybe even make a attempt for a pass for the win. Not the win, but the lead. Even being patient and solidifying that second place is huge for him. So great job, Juju. Everybody in the Discord actually put 9. They voted 9. So great ride by
Discord
Juju.
Be on it.
Yeah, dude, you guys are it's kind of crazy. All right, so the overall winner for 250 class, Joe Shimoda, I put him as an 8 out of 10 because he, like Doc mentioned in the review video, he didn't qualify that great. The heat race, very underwhelming. He got 4th in the heat. I mean, Hunter Yoder beat him in the heat race. And then, crazy. Yeah, that's super crazy. And then in the main event, he basically got whole shot, led the entire race. I don't think he made a mistake, bro. Like, I don't think I even saw a mistake from Joe. And so I put an 8 out of 10 because he won the main event, but his other, like, heat race and the qualifying was kind of lackluster.
He was a bit of a surprise for me. Again, like you said, not great quality, pretty mid heat race. All right. Again, like I said in our predictions video, Joe should be winning. That's kind of where I expect Joe at this point. He's factory Honda's guy, should be winning, has the experience. I did put him at 9 because he really surprised me in the main. I didn't see that coming. If you would have asked me after a heat where Joe was going to finish, I would have said like 6th. So for him to come out and whole shot and do really well, yeah, I was really pleasantly surprised. And he looked good. Like you said, he looked solid, no mistakes. It's almost like that 25 bike's not very bad.
Everybody actually put him as a 10 out of 10. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, that might be a little crazy, but all right, moving on to our 450 category. So next up we got Jorge Prado. I put him as a 6 out of 10. And the reason why I put a 6 out of 10 because one, I predicted maybe a top 5. Qualifying, he was kind of he qualified, I think, 9th, but he did run like a 104, which everybody basically ran a 104. So I wasn't too worried about qualifying. He raced obviously 2nd, and then the main event he goes down. I got to take that into consideration, but I think he still did pretty damn good. That crash kind of took him out of contention for a top 10, but that's kind of why I put him as a 6 out of 10. I expect him to get better.
Yeah, I put him at 6 as well. Looked uncomfortable in the whoops, a little out of control at times, but other than that, in 2 weeks he'll be consistently 8s and 9s probably, based off of his performance this time, but clearly didn't have a ton of the bike or time on the bike and clearly was uncomfortable in Supercross. All of that considered, did really well.
Everybody also voted a 6 out of 10. So I'm just so excited to see what Prado can do. His racecraft is so sick.
Yeah,
it's so sick. Probably the spiciest one that we got. This is gonna be Jett Lawrence, and I put a 3 out of 10. Jett, underwhelming day, at least for the night show. Got 2nd in quali, but then heat race 5th, main event 12th. I predicted him to freaking win, and he wasn't even close. He wasn't even close to top 10, man. Even with that crash in the sand, I expected him to go out there and win, or not win, but like get top 10 at least, top 7, top 8. Didn't even come close to 10th. Like, That's what was kind of surprising for me. Don't get me wrong. We all know that the bike situation is not that great. It's like just whatever. But if we're just truly speaking, like, okay, Jett, we expect him to win. And he goes out there and get 12th. Like, if you just look at stats, like, you don't look at anything else that happened throughout the day, a 12th place is insane. So, for me personally, I put him as a 3 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, Ken Roczen's on a Suzuki. It hasn't changed in like 10 years. And
that is
second,
so
you know what I'm
true.
But yeah, Jett, I actually am surprised I have more points than you. I gave him a 5. Super mid's really all I have to say. It's just like super mid, kind of in the heat, mid in the race, mid. Obviously, the first crash, your hang up in the first turn is whatever. That's just kind of luck of the draw. Not really holding that against him. The crash in the sand, major points dropped. He's a champ, should not be doing that.
Everybody put him as a 4 out of 10. So right there with you. Or not necessarily, you put a 5, but everybody said 4. Okay, going into his brother, Hunter Lawrence. Kind of also a lackluster kind of day for him. In the heat race, he finished 4th. In the main event, he finished 11th. And for me, I put him as a 4 out of 10. He did crash in the whoops. Not necessarily similar to Jett, but right in the section that Jett crashed, basically. Yeah, I kind of just expected more after he had a good start in the main event. I kind of expected him to stay right there, not go down and not fade a little bit. Yeah, kind of just expected a little bit better of a placing for Hunter. 11th isn't really... like, if you expect... Everybody says sleeper pick is Hunter. I mean, getting 11th at A1... That's not good. So for me, looking at the stats, yeah, 4 out of 10, man.
I put him at a 4 as well, which is below Jett, simply because he didn't have a hang up right in the first turn. And maybe you can chalk that mistake off for Jett as like under pressure, freaking out, I'm buried, it's A1. Hunter didn't really have any excuse, just crashed and then didn't make any time up. Considering he, again, like you said, he was coming in as like a sleeper pick for the chip. I don't know, man.
Yeah, 11-12 for the Lawrence Bros is not good at A1. It's very interesting to see. It will be very interesting to see how they bounce back at San Diego, which I expect them to, 100%. But if they can't figure out that bike, it's going to be a long season in Supercross. Everybody in the Discord put a 4 out of 10 too, so right there with us. Going into the next rider, Malcolm Stewart. Now, Malcolm Stewart went for a ride, but I gave him a 6 out of 10. Qualifying sesh, did pretty good. And then in the heat race, not so good. Not so good in the heat. Swapped in the sand section and had a huge crash. I'm surprised he got up and was like, yeah, I think, don't quote me, I don't know the injuries, but it looked like he just kind of got the wind knocked out of him because he was like, let me just calm down for a little bit.
Yeah.
Came back in the LCQ, got into the main event, and actually finished freaking 10th, which is better than Hunter and Jett. You would expect both of those guys to be in front of Malcolm after what Malcolm had to go through in the heat and LCQ, right? So, for me, I think Malcolm got a 6 out of 10. If he doesn't crash, he could possibly get a little bit higher of a placing in that main event, in my opinion. But he's probably feeling a lot of pain. A lot of pain. Yeah, so I just put 6 out of 10 just based off everything throughout the day.
I gave him a 7 because of all the adversity and still performing kind of where I expect him, maybe on the low end of where I would expect him to finish. It's not like he's a top 7 or 8 guy and he got 15. He's right there, still top 10. And yeah, that was a gnarly crap.
Everybody in the Discord gave him a 5 out of 10. So kind of right there.
Dang.
Yeah, they gave him a 5 out of 10. So kind of right there with, actually below us, to be honest.
A little low there, brothers.
Yeah, you guys need to do something better than that. Okay, so next up, we got... This is not good. So next up, we got Aaron Plessinger. Honestly, very underwhelming. I gave him a 4 out of 10 on the day.
The disrespect.
Yeah, dude, I expected much, much better things from AP.
Starting like 17th, 18th, he was absolutely buried at the beginning, which is a mistake, right? Like, he's really good at starts, and that didn't go very well. If you watched his start, he got pinched off, I mean, in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Just immediately, as soon as the gate. I gave him a 7 because of how buried he was. Okay, considering he was behind Hunter and a lot of the guys ahead of him and then past them all, I can't put him as low as Hunter or any, or Jett.
I put him low because I just kind of expected better things from AP at A1. I really did.
Yeah.
I expected him to be top 5. Expected him to be battling with those guys, and not being able to do that. That's kind of why I have him kind of low. Yeah, he just had an off day, right? Everybody has off days. Even with Jett and Hunter, they had off days, right? I expect AP to go swinging next week. He won last year at San Diego, so I expect him to be swinging next year.
The vibes are high there.
Exactly. So now the rider next that we have on our list, Justin Hill, 8 out of 10.
Facts.
8 out of 10, bro. He rode amazing all day. Fantastic qualifying. In the heat race, 6th place, right behind Jett, Cooper, Justin, Jason, Kenny. And in the main event, beat some of the best guys in the world. He beat AP, he beat Aaron, beat Malcolm, beat Hunter, beat Jett. I mean, he beat Prado. I mean, he was right there, right behind Justin Cooper, 3 seconds for 7th. Justin Hill rode fantastic. And yeah, I gave him an 8 out of 10, just like yourself. And everybody also gave him an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he just looked awesome all day.
This is funny. We have 3 Justins in a row here. So I might get my words twisted, but Justin Cooper, I gave him a 5 out of 10. Kind of underwhelming for me. Going into A1, I thought he was going to do a little bit better. And maybe I'm just saying underwhelming because we didn't really see much of him. So like I didn't really see too much of him in the heat race. In the main event, he actually had a really good start and then kind of faded, right? Like faded back. In the heat race, he finished 3rd, right behind Jason. And then Cooper was actually catching him a little bit. And then in the main event, he had a great start, man, in the main event. I think it was, don't quote me, but it was 3-4 right there with Jason and Kenny. And then he finished 7th. So he faded. I expected him to stay maybe right there in top 5 with that great start. So that's kind of why I give him a 5 out of 10. And also, your prediction top quality, he wasn't even close.
Yeah. What did he?
He was 12th. 12th.
Yeah, 12, 1. Yeah.
Just a race
not
to 2.
ideal.
Just a race to 2, and he's right there.
Yeah, I gave him a 6. Again, kind of the same thing. Seemed very uncharacteristic. Again, Justin Cooper 12th in qualifying is wild. Maybe you're right. Maybe I put him a little bit higher, but I didn't see him at all. Again, I hope he does better. I hope he kind of figures it out and comes back swinging. I really cool. He's with O'Neill and stuff now, so nothing too crazy for me.
The last Justin that we have, Justin Barcia, I gave him a 6 out of 10. Qualified horrible in the day. He qualified 17th overall.
Dang.
Unlike Barcia, yeah, he was 2 seconds off the pace, man.
That's crazy.
So very, very unlucky for him. He probably didn't get a great lap, honestly. And then the heat race, he finished 3rd, right in front of Hunter, heat 2. And the main event, he actually rode pretty damn good. He got 6th overall. So qualifying 17th and then finishing 6th, that's very, very impressive. He was right there with Tomac too. He was only a second down on Tomac. He was only 5 seconds off 4th. So he wasn't too far back. He wasn't like 20 seconds off the pace or anything like that, which is very exciting to see Barcia for the next coming rounds. But yeah, I gave him a 6 out of 10 for his performance.
I gave him a 7 because I guess of how close he was to the pack in front of him. Like, again, it's not like he was just circulating 7th, 8th place or something like that. I mean, he was right there for a top 5. Maybe some mistakes kept him out of it, but Barcia's getting a little older and there's a lot of weirdness with his team. And so I feel like it could have gone either way, where he could have just been kind of down there where his qualifying position was. That is pretty surprising that he was that low in quality, but considering he was that low and then being right around that top 5 in the main, pretty stoked on that.
Now going to beast mode, aka
Daddy.
Eli Tomac. I gave him a 7 out of 10. First off, 7 out of 10. Okay, top quality, unexpected. I did not expect that.
Facts.
Heat race, not great whatsoever.
Facts.
Finished 5th. Okay, so very underwhelming in the heat. Main event, amazing freaking start. Whole shot. Technically didn't get whole shot. Prado did, but he was right there, right? He got into the lead and then crashed, and then went down to 20th, and then all the way back up to 5th. So he rode fantastic. That's why I'm giving him a 7 compared to Jett's 3. Because he moved all the way back up. That's what we expect a title contender to do, right? And so him top qualifying, him going from 20th to 5th, I give him a 7 out of 10.
So I'm going to give him a 9 because...
What?
Because it's A1. He's notoriously not great at A1. I'm very confident if he doesn't tuck the front, which was a pretty big mistake. Major mistake. Very uncharacteristic.
He should have won that race.
He does win that race. I think Tomac looks just excellent. Even through the TV broadcast, I can hear him going through the whoop over the other riders.
Yeah.
Every time it would show him going into the whoops, you can hear how lugged his bike is going in. And then it's just like, yeah, I don't know. So I gave him a point for that because it was kind of gas. But yeah, Tomac at 9, brother.
Yeah, so everybody agrees with me. Okay, 7 out of 10. So
well, they're mid. They're haters. Sexton fans.
For real. All right, Cooper Webb. I gave him a 6 out of 10. Honestly, just a solid day for Cooper. I mean, he didn't qualify that great, but he really kind of never qualifies that great. He qualified 8th overall, right in that mix with the 104s. And then in the heat race, he finished 4th in the heat. And then in the main event, he finished 4th in the main event. So really just there.
Solid.
Like solid there, a Cooper Webb performance, right? I gave him a 6 out of 10 because with underperforming in the qualifying, not really doing too much in the heat, and only getting a 4th, top 5 still, I gave him a 6 out of 10. Nothing spectacular that I saw, right? And so that's why I kind of put him that.
So I was gonna put him with a 6 as well, except I'm not. I'm gonna put him at 7. Because it was kind of a midday, right? Like, all right, but he didn't look very good. I mean, he didn't look bad, but he didn't look like, oh my gosh, Cooper Webb's ripping, right?
Yeah.
Because he didn't look very good and was still that close to 2nd and 3rd, I'll put him a little bit higher because, I mean, I feel like that's really dangerous, especially A1. Again, kind of another slower burn rider. This is the worst Cooper Webb. Uh-oh.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I predicted him to be outside top 7. I didn't know. So
that is crazy.
I was wrong on that one. Okay, going to our podium. Jason Anderson. I gave him an 8 out of 10. Qualified 4th. Fantastic qualifying. He was the first guy in the 2 or 104s. So like one of the first guys, obviously Chase, Jett, Tomac gone, right? Heat race, 2nd right behind Kenny. Fantastic race. Only 2.5 seconds off Kenny for the heat race. Really, really good. Main event, 3rd place. With broken spokes, mind you. With broken spokes. Still finished 3rd. Fantastic race by Jason. He definitely pushed Jett on the start. He definitely pushed Jett on the start. But
give him a little love,
yeah, I give him an 8 out of 10. Just a fantastic day. If he wins a heat race, maybe a 9, goes out there and it's the main event, maybe a 10, right? But overall, if we can get that Jason every single freaking week, title contender.
Huge fan of Jason Anderson. I'm also going to give him an 8. I'm a little worried. He tends to do really well at A1.
That is true. He did 2nd last year.
Right. Like he tends to come out, and this has happened kind of in the past few years where we're like, yo, Jason's back, right? And then he's not, and I really hope that he is, and kind of exceeded my expectations, to be honest. I wasn't really sure where he was going to be with all these other guys. Like Jason would end up getting like a 7. Thought about that's kind of where I expected him. So I didn't have him, as big of a fan as I am, I didn't really have him on my realistic podium. I was very excited, and yeah, if we could get that Ando every week, we're so back.
We are so back. Ando's so back. And then another guy, just kind of surprising based off of his day, Ken Roczen. I gave him an 8 out of 10. Absolutely horrible in qualifying, just like Barcia, bro. He qualified 14th, a 2nd off the pace. Most likely, just like Barcia, didn't get a clean lap, like a very good clean lap. As Kenny does, man, he turns it on in the night show, goes out there, wins a heat race, and then gets 2nd in the main event, which, if you guys go back and watch that start, he was basically like 15th on the start and then somehow got into 3rd. I don't know how he freaking did it. It was so good. But yeah, I gave him an 8 out of 10 out of his whole day, winning the heat race, getting 2nd. Qualifying a little bit low. We can get that Kenny too, just like Ando. Woo, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be real good.
I also gave him an 8. Super impressive. I'm like not, again, kind of same thing with Anderson. Kind of not surprised, but also kind of surprised. The field's super duper stacked. Kenny is half cyborg and also old, and so you never really know. I think the thing I was most impressed with wasn't necessarily his result, but how he looked. He looked really racy and really aggressive and really comfortable, and so 8 just looked awesome.
With Kenny too, it wasn't like Chase gapped him. Like when Chase made that mistake in the main where he stalled it, he was right on his ass. Like he was right there. So if Chase made another mistake, Kenny probably would have won that race. At the end of the race, he was only 4 seconds back. Normally, you see Kenny fade a little bit more than that, right? So that makes it, like you said, very exciting to see what he can do. Going into the race winner of the 450 class, Chase Sexton. And I gave him a... Yes, it really did. I gave him a 9 out of 10. He would have got a 10 out of 10, as I mentioned, if he won all 3 categories, but he didn't. He was 3rd in quali, won the heat race, won the main event. Even when I was mentioning with Kenny just like being right there in the main event, Chase was in command. Like he was just fully in command. It was his race. He was managing it. which I love to see. I love to see those races by Chase. We don't get to see those too often in Supercross, right? I don't know if we ever got to see that in Supercross with him battling Tomac and everybody, but those are the races that we love to see by Chase. And yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say. He looked freaking fantastic. He looks like he's back, back.
I said this in our last video, but I've been really critical of Chase. Looked really good, looked really strong, looked really in control. His bike looks really good. It didn't look sketchy, you know, like I don't know. Chase often looks he's
very sketchy.
this close to dying the whole lap, and somehow is just not. And then didn't really, like you said, he looked like he was managing, didn't really look like he was just checked out, which it seemed like he had more in the tank if there was somebody that was right on him, you know, competing with him. Yeah, he looks dangerous, to be honest.
And what do you give him?
A 9.
That's pretty good.
Have to give him a 9. You know, respect where it's due, you know?
Yeah. Everybody also put, where is it? They put a 9 out of 10 as well. Yeah, those are our rider ratings. We're going to do this every single week, man. I really like doing this. And we're going to look back at it and probably give an average on the riders at the very end of the Supercross season, see what we kind of predict for them. But yeah, just if you guys enjoy this, make sure you guys hit that like and sub button. Thank you guys so much for all the love on these videos, man. It really does mean a lot to us. And we're on our road to 30K, baby. 30K.
Sorry about the camera issues.
Yeah, don't.
I don't know.
All right, we're out. Peace.